That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Fishing Friday. Do you have me muted? What did you do? I can't even hear my voice coming through. There we go. You turned me way down. Turn my headset up. Ben's the one that's deaf or something.
I don't think he actually ever adjusted mine. That's the problem. What's going on, folks?
What's going on, folks? Welcome to the One Cast Fishing Friday. Coming live from the studio here.
Gumming live
on Friday. Whatever the hell today is, April 21st, 2022. Been watching some elites, following the NPFL. Trey got out and did a little fishing today.
I did a little fishing today.
Ben fished his stock pond today. And I got out Wednesday or something like that. And,
some of our ambassadors got out too, didn't they?
Yeah. We got some pictures from our ambassadors that got out and did a little fishing, catching a few around the country. So things are heating up all over the place.
I've seen a lot of snagless bladed jig action lately.
Yeah.
What's up, Zach?
What's going on, Zach? Yeah, there's been a lot of bladed jig fishing going on, but just wanted to welcome everybody. We're glad to be back. We took a couple week hiatus with the holiday, and then Trey and I both had tournaments last weekend. I traveled. Trey's was local, but we decided to take another week off. So we're back. A lot to talk about. First off, onecastfishing.com. Use the code the OneCast, save 10%. Scrolls across the bottom of the screen the whole time. Secondly, make sure that you check out the episodes that have been dropped, especially the one today with my man Alex Watts from Missile, and then definitely check out the one with Corey Oakley from NC Fish and Wildlife. Jump in. We got a bunch of conversations going across social media. A bunch of bucket biologists saying Corey's wrong, doesn't know what he's talking about. Spotted bass aren't bad, but they're terrible. So I got to see it firsthand. We talked about it in an episode coming up, but you're good, Terry. You already apologized, man. I appreciate that. It was one of them things. It happens, but yeah, so Gaston, like 90% of the field had 9 pounds a day because all you could catch was 3 pound spot, 2 pound spots, not even 3 pound spots. The guys that won found a few largemouth, and that was that. But we'll go into more detail of that in an episode. What's going on, man? What's new? What'd you do today?
I went out for about an hour and a half fishing. My little lake, they're done spawning, so I'm trying to relocate exactly where they're going to be at. The lake has changed somewhat because probably 80% of the grass that was there had they have killed. There was grass, milfoil, and coontail that's like 8 and 12 foot now, and so there's starting to be a few fish coming out there. And so I went out, checked a few spots today to be like, are they coming here yet? But that they weren't. They were still relatively shallow, laying in the middle of the canals. And when you get a wolf pack of 5-pounders follow your bait back, you wish you had a cast net to check in right there, or an Alabama rig. I could have had a 20-pound limit on one cast because they were all laying in the middle of a canal, like in 4 foot, around a bunch of crappie in the grass, and you couldn't see them on live scope until the first one bit, right, and they all folded back. So that was pretty cool. But I relocated them. They pulled off from where they were spawning. They haven't moved very far, but they're a little deeper water.
You should rig up a weedless Alabama rig and definitely toss it out there and see what happens.
So I've done that. When we were in Florida with flipping crickets, Sam, a couple years ago. I put the weedless Neds on an Alabama rig because we were in the middle of the lake on Lake Griffin, but 5 foot in eelgrass, and I was just running over the top of eelgrass, and you catch 2 or 3, 15 inches at a time.
I had a buddy of mine on Baden catch. No, it wasn't on Baden. It was on Gaston. And he caught 4 fish his first cast on an Alabama rig and weighted in his 5 fish limit, but 4 of them came on one cast. So
yeah, I'm hoping to do that.
Can we see comments this way?
Yeah, we'll see comments. Nobody's commented.
Okay.
In a minute. So if somebody listen out there, just type something in the chat. We're messing with some layouts. We got a big screen TV hung up in here now that we put everything on so that we can see it a little bit better, because reading comments off the computer screen was kind of rough. This is the first live since we got the new table. If you haven't watched the podcast, you just listen. We got us a little bit more professional looking table. Not that there was anything wrong with our plastic one that Ben and I slaved over for all 7 minutes to make work. But my dad in Pennsylvania built this table for us, so fits the aesthetic a little bit better. And doesn't make all the creaky noises and stuff that the old one did. So it weighs like 397 pounds.
It's
Trey and
a
I
beast.
carried it in
It's a
here.
beast. Yeah.
Yeah. So Gaston, Trey fished Harris today. How'd you do out there today?
Harris is still high, believe it or not, from the torrential downpour that we had about a week and a half ago. We fished a derby out there on Saturday with the Piedmont series, and congratulations to the winners that dropped 22 pounds for the win. But it's still high. It's really weird. I don't remember seeing Harris this high for such an extended period of time.
The only thing I can think of, because I think it does eventually end up right in the Cape Fear Basin.
Yeah.
Right there. I looked earlier. Jordan is now like in 216 point something.
So
right?
it's right on. Yeah.
And you were
right
out there 2 days ago, and it was still 3 feet high. So they've been pulling water consistently.
Yeah. So they'll probably pull it out of Harris this week. And we're supposed to get a storm and stuff tomorrow. But Harris fished, it was definitely slower today. There's more males that are garden fry on the bed. Was able to trigger a frog bite and some wacky worm bites. And then the last bite of the day came on a jerk bait. I don't know if you guys ever done this before, but appreciate it, Enrique. If you've ever flipped a jerk bait into a bed, it's a great way to hook up with definitely the male who's fry guarding. I mean, it's few far in between that they come off, and it's something I started doing within the last couple of years, is taking a really small jerk bait and it sinks, and I'm able to like twitch it up. So I got one off the bed that way. I probably caught about, I don't know, 15, 20 white perch, a huge slab of a crappie, and then a big catfish. So a very multi-species day.
So that's weird. Like today, the chain pickerel on my lake were super, super active. Thankfully, I mean, I had 4 on. I was able to shake them off at the boat. I didn't have to actually land them, but they were in a couple falls back too. They were more active than normal. What I have found on my little lake is that when the chain pickerel is very active, because they live in the same spots that bass do, especially as you get post spawn in the summertime. If they're super active, you might as well just come back the next day.
Oh, really?
It seems. It's probably coincidence you can move and play around, but like it seems like when they were a lot of times very active, the bass bite's not quite as good. Because I have pulled up on the same spot multiple days, and I know they live there. One day you may catch 3 5-pound bass, and the next day you may catch massive chain pickerel, but you're not catching the bass. So
yeah,
I wonder if they forage on the fry. I'm assuming they do. They got to eat the bass fry, don't they?
Yeah, I mean. And everything's shallow right now. All the bluegill, crappie, I mean, white perch. I mean, all the predator fish, right? All the bait shallow. So I mean, they're all up shallow. So it could be that all the fish are kind of concentrated too.
Yeah.
But
let's take a look at a couple comments. Terry said, "Funny you mentioned Sam. I showed him some areas for his BFL tournament in May. Yeah, Sam's a longtime one cast friend. Old flipping crickets.
We're gonna get Sam on the podcast as well, because he's a local grinder, man. Between running that barbershop, being a full-time dad.
we need to do it. We need to have a weekend away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fishing those BFLs.
Tim said, "Welcome back. Trey and Pete had tournaments last week. How'd you do?" I didn't do great. I had 4 fish day 1, 5 day 2, typical Lake Gaston stupid spotted bass tournament. So
Excuses. Trey took 6 out of 50 something.
Yeah, Trey and them ended up 6.
Yeah, we cut
It's easy to have excuses when you fish stock pond.
We cut a very small check, but we came in 6 out of 54. It was super great day. And like I said, congratulations to the winners, Tyler and his partner. They dropped 22 pounds, but it was good. It was a good tournament. Harris is one of those that I've won a couple local tournaments on, but yeah, I probably won't fish the Wednesday night Wildcats on Harris this year, just because I'll be too busy. But yeah, it went well.
Your bud who I can never said he loves your hoodie.
Did you answer, David?
Harris, I doubt will still be high come May 6th. That's what, 2 weeks.
I don't think so.
Again, the only reason why it's probably still high is because they've had to dump so much water.
You actually don't want it high. Like if it goes back down to normal pool, like that's when you're going to start being able to get offshore and find those secondary points where they're holding fish and stuff. It made it really challenging today. And I went offshore anywhere between 8 to 20 feet, just trying to see if they're schooling up. But once May rolls around, if you're good on your electronics, you can start graphing and really finding them schooled up.
But David's on a kayak.
Or on a kayak, it doesn't matter.
So if the one might be better if the water's still high for him.
Okay, yeah. Stay high.
Yeah. We hope it stays high for you on that one. What's going on, Dave? Zach, 1,000 jigs for a toy house. Yeah, all you gotta do is buy a 60,000 truck and then go to the Classic and you can get you one, because they certainly won't give you one at the dealership when you buy it. So
What does that say? I would tie 1,000 jigs for a toy like Pete's.
yeah, that's what I
Zach,
said.
if you buy 1,000 jigs from us, I'll make sure you get that heat.
Yeah, I'll even sign it for you if you buy 1,000 jigs. I'll take it right off my head. Yeah, Kenny, we don't turn it on because I got to get a dimmer for it. If we turn it on, it's just a big, like, here, I will show you. Ben will hit it real quick. It's just a big, yeah. So got to get a dimmer. It didn't come with one, and I keep forgetting to order one. One of these days I'll remember. No, that one's on. I always leave that one on. It's not nearly as bad. You can just kind of subtly see that one's color. But yeah, that one's all us. So well, we got two big tournaments going on, right?
Yeah.
We got the elites,
yeah,
on Murray,
Lake Murray,
smashing them.
Makes me want to go down there next week. But
Yeah.
I actually think I would go down there, although looking at the weather, it's not supposed to be very conducive. So maybe I'll wait till if they slam them at Santee and the weather's nice the week after, maybe I'll go to Santee.
Yeah, I might have to plan something for that one.
That's just a week from now.
He said done as long as I clear with the wife. Yeah, let us know, man. $1,000 in jigs, I'll send you that. But who's on top of that one right now, Trey?
So right now, Drew Benton took the
Drew.
lead today with a 23.9 pound bag, but right behind him is Hunter Shryock, and Hunter hasn't won a Elite Series event yet. He's from
Ohio.
Newcomerstown, Ohio, I
Yep.
believe, and he's got a pretty good YouTube series out there, and he's got a pretty good attitude. So your top 10 right now is Drew Benton, Hunter Shryock, Koryoa Fujita, Jason Williamson, Patrick Walters, Jake Whitaker, Brandon Cobb, Brock Mosley, Matt Onum Robertson, and John Cox. So
It's going to be interesting because a lot of
Tomorrow.
those guys have been catching fish off bed, especially the bigger fish. I know Hunter and Drew were both pretty much sight fishing for those bigger bass. And
and the weights are super, super tight, especially when you start looking at to fish on Championship Sunday now, because John Cox is 10th with 39. 20th has got 37.9.
it's going to be a
Right.
whole different day, though, because they really haven't caught any big fish on the shad spawn or the herring spawn they've been fishing. I think the biggest one somebody's caught's been around 3 or 4. They're catching a lot of 3-pounders.
I mean, 41st place is still only 4 pounds,
From 10th,
4 or
yeah.
5 pounds in 10th. So it's still anyone's game to get up and to fish tomorrow.
If those top two can maintain 20 pounds a day, one of those two will win it. If they can stay right there,
But that's going to be the
because
big
they've
question.
separated themselves with some bigger bedfish. But it's going to be, if they can, because like I said, that it's going to be more pressure. Hunter threw top water today. Did he throw it most of the day? When I watched him, he was bed fishing. So
the
today-
dude's he's a hammer with a frog, though.
Oh, yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
super good with that.
Right. You get fish in all 3 phases down there.
Yeah.
Well, probably 2 phases for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably about done with any pre-spawn.
So
Yeah,
I was going to
so-
say,
although they
that.
did catch some that were pre-spawn that were feeding on herring and stuff, so they do.
So-
still
I mean,
have some.
I believe it. Yeah. I mean, there's some that will move up.
So there's still all 3, just not as many. Most of the ones I caught on the herring spawn were post spawn skinny fish. You could tell had been up there and we're feeding up now.
I think the guy to really look out for is Patrick Walters. I mean, he's pretty prestigious with his electronics. If he's already predicted the weather coming in tomorrow. If they don't cancel it, he's most likely going to go offshore.
We looked up. It's not nearly as bad.
No.
Like 14 mile an hour.
Still getting a high
Okay.
pressure system though,
Yeah. Well,
which throws a wrench in.
we'll
things.
see what happens.
And it's not supposed to rain that much down there.
But the sunlight will play a big deal.
That-
I know it's supposed to be
that's-
cloudy and then rain off and on. If it's cloudy, then cloudy and 14, they were having a hard time kind of midday yesterday with like 7 or 8 mile an hour wind. So 14, no sun's going to be really tough.
And the other problem, I think tomorrow, that wind is out of the west, and the way that lake shapes up, it's more or less a west to east lake.
Yep.
So unlike Jordan here, which is a north to south type of deal.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there's a big change. The weather's been a big talking point for everybody on that one heading into it, and then down there in Texas.
Hang on just a second. It's interesting when you look at the stats. There's only 1, 2, 3 people that didn't catch a 5 fish limit. That's got to be super frustrating.
Who didn't catch 5?
So Rick Clunn luckily caught 5. David Williams, who's second to last because Keith Poche didn't fish this event because he's fishing BPT stuff, I believe.
Well, he was banished. He wasn't allowed to fish.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
One.
Yeah. So David Williams caught 1 fish for 1.8 pounds. Gary Klaus caught 2 fish for 3 pounds, 14 ounces. And Mike Huff caught 4 fish for 8 pounds, 2 ounces. The rest of the field caught a 5 fish limit. That's got to be mentally taxing.
They said going into it, some of the previews, and I don't know if this was. I can only did say it, but I was watching the video. I was watching the bass preview, and he was on it. But the preview was a lot of the anglers felt like this would be a lot like the St. Lawrence or Champlain in the sense that, right, there'd be a few guys up top that will slam them, but then everyone else would be separated by ounces with really good bags.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how this thing is shaped up to be, is that everyone's catching fish.
Yeah. Tim asked a really good question, and I don't think any of us in this room have an answer for it, but I'm going to read it. So he asked why you suppose Rick Clunn is struggling so much for being in his 70s. He's very fit. Do you think some of the older guys struggle with competing because of the new technology, or is it just so much more competitive?
It's age, 100%. I mean,
you think so?
Yeah. If you watch Rick, I mean, he doesn't get on live very much, but when he has to take a lot more breaks. He takes longer. He sits down to tie things. At 70 or not, he's been competitive bass fishing for 30, 40 years at this point. Just not as quick as he used to be, not as efficient as he used to be. And I'm sure the electronics play a little bit of a role. I know he spends time with them, but
yeah, and Cody, I think
Cody's helped him. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I think age is the big thing. Everyone there's a prime in fishing and all. Right. So, I mean, we look at the guys who are successful and have massive runs, right? They're typically maybe late 20s to 40, right? In the sport. Think about KBD's prime, right? Or, I don't know.
With the
Wheeler's in it right now, but like Ike's prime, like you think about the big runs and like when people are dominating, there is a prime where mentally, physically, it's all kind of aligned there. And he knows way more. It's kind of like what Drew Brees said about being a quarterback, is that in his career, like his mind, he knew way more, but physically he just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I would imagine there's a lot of that involved there too. And
I don't know of Rick ever being like a big bed fisherman, but I don't see how he fishes anymore. I know he's really big with a spinnerbait and stuff like that. He likes to fish offshore. Terry said he's set in his ways. That very well could be it. Part of it too is like that old age, not, his prime is fishing a spinnerbait, fishing offshore, whatever the case may be. I don't really know all of Rick's strengths. But then is there that mentality that he doesn't really have anything to lose either?
Yeah, I think fisheries have changed. He probably fished the first event to ever fish Lake Murray when it was full of grass, and you get changing fisheries. And history isn't always a good thing. In 45 years of history, sometimes you can make poor decisions. You can chase things that aren't there, that have been there before. You go to some of these fisheries, if they were to go to Norman or somewhere like that, I guarantee you it's completely different from the last time Rick Clunn fished it because of the spots and things like that. There's more people bass fishing now. There's more pressure on bodies of water. There's a lot of things that factor into it, but I really feel like it's even as good as he is fit wise. I think a lot of it has to do with age and just I think you become less efficient as you get older.
Yeah. And it's right. We all know as you get older, waking up gets harder, right? This type of things. And it's also, it becomes harder to process new stuff. I mean, think of all the old folks that we know who who still can't really operate an iPhone.
Yeah.
Right. And it's part of it's set in a way. In some ways, their minds just wasn't developed to be able to do that. Maybe.
If you think about Rick,
I mean, who knows?
He's about the only guy in this age that's continued to do it. So, I mean, others have taken breaks, come back, done things like that. But Rick's fished straight through. That's a lot of mental and physical. What's the word I'm looking for? Stress that you put on your body over a 40-year career of bass fishing. And he didn't just fish the bass elites or whatever. I mean, he was fishing local stuff. He was fishing the ABAs. He was fishing. What's the big one out there in Nevada?
He fished Toledo Bend last week.
Yeah, he fished Toledo Bend in the BFL last week, or the Open last week. I know he fished a BFL too that is going to. I think the same one Cody's fishing. It's down there. I think it's on Lake of the Ozarks or somewhere down around there. So at 47 years old, I'm definitely setting a lot of my ways for sure. Yeah. At 37 years old, I don't know when it started, but fishing 3 or 4 days in a row, I feel like I got hit by a Mack truck, and that never used to be the case. But
I felt like that after an hour today in that sun. Have to get as it warms up, have to get re-climatized to it.
Whoa, hold up! No, Mike. I know you're one of those. You're one of those Android peasants, like Trey. It's okay. No offense to anybody out there.
And look, we make a joke about peasants, with the Android, but when he can't send us a video in 4K or even 1080p HD, and it automatically compresses it to 720, and it's useless to post, there's a problem with it. It takes great photos and videos, but you can't get them off the phone.
It's because their peasant iPhones can't receive the greatness.
Challenge the Sand Lee Club for a local club. Is the Sand Lee still around, Terry? I thought most of them guys quit. I haven't seen anything from them in a while, but yeah.
I think I want to say Sand Lee fished on Harris last week, and they were the one. I think that was the one Hal Abshire fished in.
Could be.
Because they were supposed to fish Evans Ferry, and because the river was so blown out, they fished Harris.
No, do they have more in our club? I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, you're talking a whole different world when you're talking Hal one. Yeah, you're talking a whole different world when you're talking about guys that have fished Harris and Jordan for 70 years and know that body of water and things like that. History on a local body of water is a little bit different than history on a national.
Except it doesn't
matter
on Harris because it's changed.
Well, Harris does change. Yeah. I mean,
but it was good to see 22, 18, 16 pound bags weighed in. But again, that's the spawn, So yeah, Hal Abshire won. Dang, Sand Lee has 54 members. That's a lot of folks in a club.
That's good size.
So moving on to the
it says it seems like you have a couple year run and a new guy comes up. Yeah, I mean, like we were saying, your prime, you've got a window there, and guys take advantage of that, and then somebody's going to come and knock you off that throne. But
I think that momentum is a real thing. I mean,
100%.
Guys get a mentality like they did great. They go out confident. They go out positive. They end up catching them. They do the same thing over and over again. But then as soon as they hit that wall, that's when you really figure out, okay, do they have the mental and emotional capacity to bounce back from it?
And it's also, when you think about guys like Rick and KVD and Wheeler Meg at this point, maybe you think some of the other runs, Iconelli, mentioned him, but some of the big runs, like there comes a point where
see, David, thanks for stopping in, man.
It's like a boxer and a prize fighter. It's hard to remain the heavyweight champ when you wake up in satin sheets every morning.
Yeah, and I will say I don't know.
And like these guys are competitive, and any given tournament they can still go out there and win. But let's face it, like those guys no longer have to do well to eat.
That's right.
That's a great point, Mike. He said they don't fish but one day versus 6+ in a row. Yeah, when you think about an elite event or something like that, you have 3 practice days, and then you're fishing up to 4 days, and then that's a lot of wear and tear on a body. And even if it's just sitting behind a motor idling and graphing, you're still out there up at the crack of dawn till about dark, and that you got to take that into account too. So
when you go in with a mindset like I'm fishing for Sunday, that's a whole different ball game, man.
Yeah, when you start talking about multi-day tournaments and managing fish and things like that, there's a whole lot more that goes into it mentally.
And let me tell you what's happening right now. We all know this. The crazies are on the water.
Oh yeah.
the non-bass fishermen, there's still some crazy bass fishermen, but like, dude, the lakes are loaded.
It's starting to get
with
packed.
jet skis.
Was it loaded on Harris today?
My
Yeah.
gosh, it was a grind. So
Yeah, I hit Jordan. I think it was Wednesday, and wasn't too bad, but I figured it wouldn't be long. What's water temperature on here? 73, 74, somewhere in there?
no, man, I was getting up into the 75s.
Yeah. So it's lake life season is here.
Yeah.
My generation of bass has died on
It's
me.
already lake life season.
The 90s, I used to wreck them. Now I am on a new generation of bass. Yeah, it could be. I mean, it's hard to say how fish act generationally. You know, there's still spots where I've caught fish for the last 40 years in Pennsylvania, or I'm 37. So for the last 20 years that I've caught fish, and I know I can go there and catch fish tomorrow, and it's not the same fish I caught, 15 years ago. But yeah, fish are more educated, I think, for sure nowadays.
That's right. I remember the story of Roland winning in the track boat. That's when they changed the rule. I think one of the rules.
Oh yeah, yep. I think that is when they went to you have to use one boat for the entire season was 93. I remember that too. But yeah, Terry, it could be generation. Fish get wise to baits and techniques and pings of sonar, and you can already see it on some lakes with live when people pull up and the fish pull away as soon as that thing fires up and cranks at them. So,
I mean, your willingness to adopt new techniques and new technology. Like I deal with it myself. I'm like, man, they gotta bite this. They bit it before, and it's like they're not. So either change or move locations or right place, wrong time type of situation. But there are a lot of anglers that are stuck in their ways. They're not going to change.
I think you see a big push towards more guys throwing big baits because not a lot of people have done it for a lot of years, and it's getting bit right now because it's not something the fish have seen a ton of. If you look like a Milliken has, obviously in the opens is throwing big baits a lot and has a fifth and a win. And you look at the Red Crest, how many of them guys were throwing bag drafts and big 6-inch swim baits, things that you wouldn't think to throw on a spot lake like that. But they were throwing them because, one, I think it was different. Two, it's getting a bigger bite. And it's just something that hasn't been thrown a lot. What's going on, Steve? So it's about changing, colors change, things like that, trying to figure out what the fish want.
It's just a huge OODA loop, man. It'll come back around full circle.
Absolutely.
Like, if everyone out there is throwing glide baits and mag drafts and everything else, and they're not throwing stick baits and Carolina rigs and jigs and stuff, it'll come full circle. I mean, the bass evolved just like we do. So
they're always going to eat a stupid Senko.
They're always going to eat a Senko. They ate it today for me, but I got a frog bite today, so super happy about that.
Man, I couldn't buy a frog bite the other night. I tried. It was my first frog bite of 2023, so super happy to have it. And I didn't even know what to do. It came up. I was like, no way.
That's what happened to me today when I had that wolf pack of 5 pounders. Like,
I do want to say,
can I jump in the water right now?
I do want to say one thing going back to people in their prime is I don't know if anybody will make a run and have a prime like KVD did or be as feared as KVD was.
Yeah.
Like, going back and looking at the stats from when he was in his prime, like as soon as you saw he was in the tournament, you had to just be like fishing for second. It was unbelievable.
But there's some local hammers that are just like that, man.
Oh, absolutely.
There's local hammers around here that like you're fishing for second.
But on a national level, like I don't know if I know me personally, like I would think that I'd go out there and beat anybody today. But when KVD was in his prime, you had to think like, I don't know what I'm going to do to beat this kid.
And I think they said that during one of the podcasts he was on. Was like, he was the most feared angler for an extended period of time. Milliken, what Zach say? Milliken said the big part of his win was because the Carolina rig with the 6 cents hogwalla. The Carolina rig works. I hate throwing it. I got one tied on right now, but it works, man. It just
I'm gonna throw it more this year. There was a couple baits I was thinking today that I'm going to spend more time on this year just because I know they catch fish, even though they're not fun.
Yeah,
it's just something I'm going to do because. Yeah. But yeah, I know he was catching them in the shad spawn, throwing that hogwalla, and then he would switch when the gizzard shad moved up in the afternoon. He was switching to the big glide bait, and that was how he was upgrading to those bigger fish.
Yeah.
But it was kind of interesting to throw a sea rig into a thread fin spawn. Never thought about that, but
yeah,
it obviously worked. I don't know if they were keen on lizards or something that were down, feeding on fallen bait fish or what, but yeah, he got on them doing that. KVD fish offshore with a deep diving crankbait. I'm pulling my boat out of water. And I heard that. Yeah, back, man. Yeah. That dude was like, the forward-facing sonar was in his head before forward-facing sonar.
Yeah,
because he was doing stuff that nobody else was.
So let's talk about
MPFL.
MPFL. So the National
You pulled
Professional
up.
Fishing League. Ben's got it on his phone, I think. They're down in Wright-Patman and Texarkana, and it's tough. It's a tough derby right now.
Yeah, it's so first place is Baron Adams of 36. Second, Sheldon Collins has got 34-12. Timothy Reams is third with 34, 36. Second,
Hold on. My phone is acting up.
yeah.
You're good. Go ahead.
So like the top 10, right? The 10th place is 28, right? So what's that? Almost 15 pounds? No, 14.
14 a day.
14 and a half a day. Not turn your phone off.
It is.
So it looks like maybe a small percentage of the field is really on them, and then everyone else is having to struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to the bottom of the leaderboard, you have to take out a couple of people like Patrick Walters and John Cox because they're fishing the elites this weekend. But you had several people without a fish, and certainly a big portion of the field they don't have limits for either day. So
yeah.
the water's high there. I think they're all pretty much flipping bushes. A lot of water, covering the water with the way the weather's set up. It's just trying to dial in where the fish are at. So it's a
if you don't watch the MPFL and you like watching BASS, like I would watch MPFL too. Like,
It'll be live tomorrow.
They got some good coverage. They have some good anglers. One of our buddies that we had on the show, Josh Watkins, who's fishing for the Army Outdoor team. He's struggling right now, but we got some hope that he'll turn it around. But it's got to be
Stephanie. We have an upcoming episode with Stephanie.
Stephanie, Stephanie's going to get on.
She's struggling a little bit, but she's also fishing out of somebody else's boat. She had an issue with her touchpad on her nitro. I think it's a nitro she runs.
Yep.
So she had to borrow a boat, which those are the kind of things, mentally that can really throw you off, going into a tournament. You're used to your setup, your rig, your tackle, everything the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go into a big event and all of a sudden everything is different. Yeah. And you have to try to adjust on the fly to that. And it's not a knock on anybody. That would be tough for anybody to do.
Yeah. Josh said that that lake is pretty treacherous right now. Wright-Patman is really high. The fish are definitely shallow, but it's kind of like that Jordan situation where if the water level gets too high, those fish are they're unfishable. Like it's way too far up into the brush and stuff like that. So, well, it'll be interesting because with the MPFL, the entire field fishes all 3 days. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Somebody could come and drop a 25-pound bag and jump way up the standings or something.
Yeah, the whole thing could swing. I mean, Corbersley, I think yesterday was sitting in the top 20 and he fell a little bit today, but I mean, he goes and catches a 20-some pound bag. He's right back in there. And the guys at the top falter and somebody can slide in there. That's why it's kind of cool the way they do the everybody fishes, because it gives you an opportunity to improve in the check line no matter what. Just, we talked about Josh struggling, Stephanie fishing out a different boat. They get used to it tomorrow and find some fish.
That's right.
And they can go from, mid 40s to into the 20s or 30s with 2 good days on the final 2 days. So it gives you an opportunity to improve. You may not be able to win it coming from the bottom, but you can still improve where you're at and get some valuable AOI points.
Final day. 3 days.
Yeah, final days tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, 3-day tournament. Yeah, so tomorrow's final day. I'm still used to 4 days with the bigger stuff. But coming up, we can talk about it a little bit. We got Bugs Island with the Open next weekend. Practice start next weekend. The week after is the tournament.
Yep.
We're going to try to get some content from some of our friends that are fishing that. Waiting for our media passes to come back from BSS. So hopefully we can bring y'all some inside scoop on that one. But I'm curious to see how that goes, especially with Milliken, a guy like Milliken who's on fire. That's a completely different body of water from the last 2 they fished.
Yeah. What is their off limits period for practicing on that lake?
It's off now.
It's like 28 days prior.
It comes back and they can't get they can get info up until the first day of official practice, and then they can't get anything.
It's like a week.
Practice starts Friday. They practice Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I think they're off Monday, and the tournament's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or something like that. I have to go look. It might be Saturday, Sunday, Monday practice, but their last day of the tournament is Friday, and then there's a BFL on the lake Saturday.
Yeah.
So it's going to get pounded.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about fishing Kerr in the next 2 weeks or Bugs Island or whatever you call it,
Don't.
You might want to wait about a month. Let them fish get calm down because it's about to get pounded.
So here's a tip: if you're fishing the BFL, you need to go up there on Friday, and you need to find out who the leader is, and you need to follow them to all their. Like, just watch. You're a spectator. You just need to follow them to all their spots, and you can mark GPS coordinates where they're at, and come back the next day and see if you can catch another man's fish.
Yeah.
Let me know how that works for you. If you go try to catch somebody else's fish.
Do we have anybody watching right now that's going to be up in Clarksville? It's Clarksville, right?
Yeah.
Clarksville.
Yeah, if you're going to be up there, let us know because I'm definitely going to go up there and see everybody. And
yeah, Destin will be up there.
we got Destin. Rich Ortiz is a buddy of mine fishing that out in New York. I'm trying to think who else. Harvey will be there fishing. Harvey Horn, who we'll have on the show here eventually once we can line our schedules up.
Alex will be there as a co-angler.
Alex Watts,
That's right.
who was just on the episode that dropped yesterday, he'll be up there as a co-angler.
My fishing partner is going to be fishing that as a co as well.
Oh, there you go.
Charles will be up there fishing.
Well, Charles fishing.
Steven, is he doing it?
No, Steve, if you're still on, are you fishing as a co? I know you're doing the BFLs. I didn't know if you jumped into the open or not. If it was in the bushes, I'm telling you right now, I was signing up for that bad boy. But it's not.
There's a wait list for it. I heard
for well, it'd be the first one in a long time if that's the case. Hopefully it is
for BASS.
Yeah, because they didn't have enough the last two tournaments for
boaters.
No.
Oh, co's.
Yeah, I was gonna co-angle. Yeah. I don't have the money to fish. Yeah, I'll be on the Lake Tillery tournament. Which tournament? Taylor, you fishing the BFL? Just so you know, it's gonna get pounded by 300 boats for 4, 5, 6 days before y'all go up there.
Lake Tillery.
Oh, Tillery.
Yeah, Tillery.
Yeah.
I haven't fished it yet.
It's 302.
What's that?
It's 302.
Is it still 302? They're still holding that much water. Interesting.
That's at Tillery.
Oh, San Lee's on Tillery. Okay.
Bugs.
Well, good luck on that one,
I
Terry.
love Tillery, man. I haven't been there in a while.
We're fishing in September.
That'll be a schooling bite, dude.
It'll be
offshore schooling.
What up, Brad? It'll be miserable because all the yahoos are sitting out there running around their weight boats.
This is always an odd time to fish Tillery. The Bragg Busters used to go there a lot in either April or May.
Uh-huh.
A lot of times early May, but it's kind of a weird time. There should be some spawning.
Yeah,
Mike.
Well, no, that's May 6th, right? He's talking about the May 6th tournament. That's always a weird time. There's usually you could find maybe 1 or 2 left on a bed, but everything's kind of in that post spawn little trying to react.
I forget when we fished it last year. I think it was May. We fished it end of April. We Sam loves going there in June because they really school up in June. I've heard that.
Yeah, they do.
I've heard that. I mean, I caught 5 when we fished it. I didn't place in the cat in check line, but it was my first time on the lake, so I just asked Ben. He was like, "Fish bank grass," and that's what I did. I just fished bank grass with a shaky head and caught fish off every single one of those little private boat ramps too. Every single one of those private boat ramps I caught fish on.
Really?
I like this time of year. It's a pretty simple pattern. I'll throw a swim jig through the grass until I find an area I get bit, and then I can slow down.
It was really odd though because we fished it. There was a shad spawn, and I found it first thing in the morning. I'm like, I'm about to wreck this. Like I didn't even know. Like I just ran to a point, and then the shad are spawning. I'm like, it's on. Never got bit on that shad. Everybody I talked to that fished that tournament found shad spawn, could not get bit. They wouldn't eat top water. They wouldn't eat spinnerbait. They wouldn't eat a fluke.
I've been in a tournament where it's been like that.
It's unbelievable.
That happened at Watery last year or 2 years ago. I mean, the shad spawn was crazy in the morning. And if you didn't get bit during the shad spawn,
you didn't get bit.
You didn't get bit at all the entire day, pretty much.
Most of those fish were eating that. Yeah.
Because I ran to different places on the lake different mornings. Because I spent a couple days practice and it was a 2-day tournament. Like the shad spawn was going pretty much the entire lake.
Mm-hmm.
The way water sits up, it's kind of like a river lake. And if you didn't get bit then, it didn't matter.
I found, this is my experience, whether it's the shad spawn on Falls, the shad spawn on Harris, the shad spawn on, I don't know about Jordan.
I can always get them to eat on Jordan.
Yeah, usually I can get them to eat on Jordan, but like some of the lakes, I won't even throw a similar style bait. I'll just be like, grab a Cinco, grab a Nico rig, grab a Texas rig, and not even bother trying to mimic a bait fish that I can't, and make it move the way that they're moving. I'm like,
Yeah.
it ain't gonna work.
I can usually get them on Jordan to eat a spinnerbait or chatterbait, but
Yeah,
I haven't been on. I don't fish Harris enough to have found it on there, but
I found a shad spawn.
We went last
weekend.
year.
speedworm would be a good one, Terry. Yeah.
Speedworm, yep.
La-
Speedworm's a really good one.
Last year when we went, there was still that late shad spawn in May when we
Mhm.
filmed all that content. 'Cause
Yep.
We caught one on a swim jig in the morning.
Yeah, that was in May.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
it
later in
was.
the year when you all went out there.
Yeah.
That was May because remember last year everything was
And
late
they're
last
already,
year.
and they're
Everything was
already-
late
they're already
last year.
spawning. You know, maybe Sunday I'll go out there.
I'm gonna go out there Sunday, I think.
Sunday morning and see if the shad spawn's on fire.
If I charge my battery smart, if I remember to plug my boat in. Yeah, I've been running them. I know they're probably gonna need charged.
I went down today and I didn't plug my boat in last time, so I'm glad it was good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know my trolling motors will be good, but
If Mike's on here, Mike, who's gonna win? You guys got Tillery this year, right? Or no?
September, yeah,
Who's gonna win on Tillery, Mike?
not me,
Who's gonna win between you and Pete?
Mike. Mike knows them schooling points, man. I know he's gonna be out there.
No.
smoking.
That's all right. I got some points for you. I'll send them to you.
I'm gonna get some waypoints from Trey and Ben.
In fact, depending on where you put in, you don't even have to fire your.
Get that Gator Trex and just run all the way up the Uhari.
Yeah, just get as far as you can go.
Because I've gone as far as I can in the fiberglass.
Mike agrees. Yep.
Pete's gonna beach his boat in the river and walk to go catch smallmouth.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. Can we get out of the boat? And Carolina Bastards, I have to look.
Sam and I ran all the way up where it was too early in the year before, but we had never been all the way up there, the river up there. You know, you go several miles up there and you get to where, I mean, it's clear water now. And there's just big rocks. Your trolling motor can't go anymore.
Can't go anymore.
Them boys will win.
That's what you need to do. Put a paddle boat on your boat, drop it in the water, paddle over the rocks, get up there, catch the smallies, put the paddle boat back on your boat.
What, Mike, Jay, what do you think? Them old timers would have a stroke if I ruled it with 5 smallmouth. He just said no.
It's this PA boy.
I'll get one of my buddies to bring a jet boat down here, and I'll go all the way up that joker. No, yeah. So we're fishing that one this year,
Have Dale bring his jet boat down.
and
Isn't that his story that he did in Pennsylvania?
yeah, oh yeah, he's got a jet boat. Dale, yeah.
He runs way up the river.
Dale owns Gamma Line. He's got a jet boat that he fishes some of them local tournaments, and he'll run to where other guys can't get, and they get mad at him. But I mean, he handicaps himself on some other ones, but when they fish those rivers, he he gets way up there. But yeah. So and then we're fishing. Our club's fishing Norman October and November. We have two days. Our classic in November. Which Mike, plug your event in the chat if you think about it, because I can't remember the dates off the top of my head. But they have a benefit tournament that's actually the day before our 2-day classic. So I'm going to go up and fish that Friday.
It's like the weekend of Veterans Day.
Practice that Friday, kind of get a lay of the land, because I've never been on Norman.
That's
that time of year.
Oh, you've been there before though?
Mm-mm.
It's an overwhelming lake, man.
That time of year, I'm probably just going to throw an A rig and try to catch 5 spots on one cast.
There you go. Seriously, that's what you need to do, or go up to the hot hole.
I tell you what, the pattern that won on Bull Shoals 2 years ago when Johnny Morris had the open tournament,
Mm-hmm.
it's $100 million.
Oh yeah, the big one.
That's the guys who won it. What they did is they pull in a cove, they'd hop up on live scope, and they would zigzag back and forth until they saw schools of bait and fish on them, chuck an Alabama rig.
Yeah.
And then after being in a cove for 45 minutes, they pick up and run the
Run
next
to the
cove.
next one.
Had to be really boring because after time they're just standing there searching, looking at the screen, not even casting.
Yep. So November 10th is their event. So anybody local, look it up. I'll share it to the group page and stuff. It's a good event for help a veteran's family. Is that a mosquito or a fly?
No, I think it's a gnat.
Okay, I'm good with that.
I thought Brian Thrift was going to send you all his waypoints. That's what I
had to
heard.
buy them, but
Oh yeah. Mike, if you're listening, Pete bought Brian Thrift's
yeah,
waypoints.
I bought
No
all
big
Brian
deal.
Thrift's waypoints for the last 20 years on that lake. So.
He actually used
And
it
Hank
as
Cherries, he sold me his too.
Man, our championship is on Jordan this year. I think it's in July. The $10,000 championship, and I love fishing Jordan in the dead of summer. I usually do really well.
I do too. I just don't like putting fish in a live well there that time of year.
Yeah, I dropped a 20-pound sack on him fishing 4 spots in rotation throughout the entire day. It was really boring, but I dropped 20 pounds on them. But that was not enough. But you're right. Like you can catch some really big fish there, but like guys need to do some fish management big time because
the one thing I'm not going to get into it. I wish PVC would quit doing those hot tournaments though, because they kill a lot of fish, and it's not a knock on anybody. It's hard to keep fish alive when the water's 90 degrees.
It definitely is. Like Corey said, if you guys listen to the second to last episode with Corey Oakley, like the best thing you can do is just release them right there on the spot. Don't put them in your live well. I mean, obviously, if you're fishing a derby or whatever.
He basically said once the water gets above 65 degrees, most of those fish are going to die.
Yeah,
just because of the stress from running around in a lot. And I believe it. I mean, we've all seen it. We've all pulled up to a ramp, the morning after weighing and seen a bunch of dead bass land on the shore, and the optics aren't good. We try to fizz fish, try to use fin clips, whatever it is, but some of those fish aren't going to make it, and it's stressful. Think about if we locked you in a little trailer and drove you around for 4 hours in a 100-degree day, how you would feel in the back of that truck. You'd probably die. People do, and I don't say this to be any type of way, but if you look at sometimes illegals coming up, they'll stack them into the back of an 18-wheeler, and then they pull into somewhere in Texas, and they're all dead because they overheated in the back of that truck. It's the same kind of concept with a fish and a live well. You can ice it. So everybody should go buy an Icon boat for $114,000 and a cool. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, for the tournament last weekend, man, like the water temperatures were in the mid 60s, and I still put ice in my live well just to make sure we're preserving the best we could. So,
Mike last year at James lost an entire live well of fish for no reason other than stress that we can think of.
Yeah.
The live wells were fine. They were fine the day before. It was on day 2. He had a limit of fish in there, and they all didn't make it. And it was just one of them things. It had to be a stress thing. Most of them were what we now know weren't actually purebred smallmouth because there aren't any left in Lake James.
Mean mouth.
So they would have been hybrids. But
there's so many people that disagree with our podcast too. Disagree with
that's like I know they still look like a smallmouth, but and Corey even said that people work in NCWRC are like, that's a smallmouth, and then they pull the genes and it's like 40%.
So what is so interesting, everyone who is from like Eastern Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia,
Texas too.
Maryland, any place where the Alabama bass are not native, they know the issue with it.
Yeah.
The people were like that live in Alabama or places that they have native spots, even if they're northern spots. Well, I catch them all in the same spot. They're native there. It's not a problem. And the one dude, the Wayne dude that I'll call about because he was this big.
Oh, I blocked him after he said, when I asked him what he did for a living, and he said, your mom, I just blocked him.
Oh,
like, I don't mind having a discussion with somebody, but when you go to just being ignorant,
we are living in his head rent free.
Oh, yeah, we're rent. He posted like 13 responses to that, like all down the line.
On multiple videos.
And he was from Texas, welder from Texas, so he definitely knows all about fish.
And someone literally commented on one of his comments, dude, I fish that lake you're talking about all the time. It's overrun with spots.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, some giant spots, like I think state records have come out lake. I think it's Henry Allen he was talking about. So I'm like,
before we go too far though, you brought up a point like people that live in those states know it's a problem, but they don't because NC Division of Fishery sprayed snotgrass on Gaston the day after our tournament.
Yeah.
Well, NC Bass Nation, I can't think of his name now, posted a picture of the truck and said, hey, they're not spraying the grass. The good grass, they're spraying for snot grass so it doesn't overtake the lake, blah, 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 blah. And a bunch of people were like, oh, dude, putting chemicals in, blah, blah. I'm like, the people that don't understand the management of this and that if they don't kill that snot grass, it'll take over the entire lake are the same people that think spots were a good idea. Not even 30 seconds somebody was on there. Spots are the best thing that ever happened to Lake Gaston. I'm like, no, it's not. If catching 7-pound bags and having 90% of a 30-boat field have 7 pounds is good, then I don't want it.
So the only good thing about having the spots is if you're somebody who fishes to keep and eat.
Oh yeah, load them up.
Then load them up. Like, yeah, for you,
Chuck, that's it, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, for the recreational fisherman who is going out there to catch and keep, spots are great because they're better eating than a largemouth, and they're just all over the place. You can catch tons of them, and there's no creel limit on them right now, from my understanding. Is there?
No, I don't believe anywhere in North Carolina
North
there's a creel
Carolina,
limit.
they want you.
Yeah,
to
they
take
want
So-
you to take them and eat them.
Yeah, if you go back and watch the episode, Corey said there is a native species of spotted bass that lives in one of the rivers.
Yeah, so
but
the
It's
native,
so hard to tell the difference between the two that they just made it open season, no creel limit on spots across the board.
because what he's talking about is the northern spotted bass and some of the very western rivers and tributaries. Like
Yep.
they're not very big, and no one hardly ever fishes up. Right?
Yeah.
You gotta
That's
go
right, Terry. Yep, no size limit.
You got to go creek fishing.
You got to
for it.
you got to check their caudal peduncle.
You got to check the caudal peduncle.
the peduncle.
I mean, they've pretty much destroyed like the red eye bass in
Yeah.
South
Yeah.
Carolina. And so the folks who
And we had
who like understand the problem are like, yeah, this is a huge problem. Then you have all the people who don't know how to use Google and try to make a comment, and they're like,
we had somebody comment that they caught 2 spots like last week in Jordan, and I didn't get into it with them.
I didn't even
I
see
wish they
that.
would have posted. It was on one of the Facebook stories that you posted, and he said it was on when Corey was talking about how they haven't found them in those lakes yet, and he was like, I caught 2 spots last week there, and I was like, I don't know. They haven't found them electrofishing yet. I haven't caught any on Jordan that I know were a spot. I did catch one on Harris like 3 years ago that I'm pretty sure was a spot, but I had no idea what a spot was back then, so I didn't take a picture of it or anything. But now that I know what it is, I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
they haven't found them anywhere like horse courts that in the watershed.
Yeah.
for
So when they're doing
North Florida.
electrofishing and that
But-
stuff,
if you think you have caught a spot on Jordan
take a
or
picture.
Harris or Falls, touch its tongue, check it out, take a picture of it,
harvest it, just
harvest it, take it.
If it's
just-
over 14
If
inches,
it's
if
over
you're not
14
sure.
yeah.
12.
Well, 12, yeah. 12.
So just do it. Just get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? And like if you're curious, like go onto the NC Wildlife website. They got their phone number right there. You can give them a call and say, hey, I got this fish. I think it's a spotted bass. I don't know if it's a northern or if it's in Alabama. It doesn't really matter. But if it's not native to the body of water, like get it out of there.
And the thing is, like, that's why I asked the question. And at the end of the day, if you catch one on one of those bodies of water, it's already too late.
It's it.
And if you enjoy what we have on Jordan and Harris, and you like where it's at right now, and Harris is going to get better,
Yep.
especially when we get rid of that slot limit and start, making that lake a little healthier. They're trying to grow native grasses. Jordan obviously is what Jordan is. If spots get in there, the 40-pound bag days on
Those
Jordan
are
are going to
over.
come to an end.
Those are
We're
over.
going to all be fishing for 10 pounds.
Yep.
Because they are going to overtake that lake.
And then I can
I mean,
finally win a tournament.
If they get in Harris, if they get in Harris, we don't have to worry about the slot limit anymore.
Yeah,
That's a
because they'll never
fact.
get big enough.
They'll all be
yeah.
They'll all be 15 inches. But yeah, so have those conversations with your friends. If people think that that's a good thing, they need educated that it's not a good thing, and we need to try to manage them at the point we're at now. We're never getting rid of them.
No.
And probably the most disturbing part of that whole thing, if you haven't watched it, please do, was that smallmouth are going to be extinct in North Carolina, outside of maybe some of the rivers where they're native because they think they might be able to compete. But all of our smallmouth on the western side of the state and the reservoirs are going to be non-existent in 10 years.
They may look like smallmouth, but they're not.
Well, even then, eventually, like Corey said, they're going to completely breed the smallmouth out. So everything's just going to be a spot. You're not going to have the meanmouth anymore. And that's what he's talking about where James is right now in that honeymoon phase, because you're getting those meanmouths. So you're getting fish.
We got to get up to James.
You're getting that cross right now. But he said that's only a 5 to 10 year thing. And then the smallmouth genes are gone and you're stuck with 13-inch spots like every other lake. So what scared me is they're getting into Virginia now and people keep moving them. If those things get into the Great Lakes, who knows? Because they don't know what'll kill them. Everything they thought was going to stop them in North Carolina hasn't stopped them. Everything they thought was going to stop them getting into Virginia hasn't stopped them. Cold water, dirty water, lack of cover, lakes that aren't super nutritious, lakes that are super nutritious. Everything they thought that was going to stop them hasn't slowed them down.
And it's like he said, it's not so much the largemouth that they mess around with too much because they don't inhabit the same areas.
Well, they do. They just
push the largemouth.
Well, the
to the back
largemouth
of
are
the
like,
pocket.
yeah, we'll just move out.
Well, they moved them out, and now there's less largemouth.
Yeah,
there
because
is
they
less-
have less food and less
but
area.
the smallmouth is what it really affects drastically.
It is the new COVID, only worse.
Yeah.
Yamatanuki, man, I only got one color. It's not a great color. I can't wait to get my hands on some green pumpkin stuff because they're gonna smash. I caught some fish.
What are those?
I might have caught some fish.
Are those the little
Gassing them.
soft plastics? with
They're the little
spikes?
fat soft plastic with a little tail. It's a
Yeah.
like 5/8 ounce,
Yeah.
like chode Cinco.
Little chode Cinco.
Little chode
No,
Cinco.
I don't have any.
It's a nasty bait. Yamatanuki. They're a really good subtle bait, and I like it because you don't need a weight. You can fish it like a Texas rig Cinco. It falls really nice, and you can do it all on a bait caster because it's heavy enough.
Huh.
So
I have to check them out.
yeah, they're cool. Nobody has them right now because obviously it's a new bait and it's the new thing, so they're sold out. I did get one pack at the classic of almost like a morning dawn color. I didn't want to use it too much on gassing, but I did catch a couple fish on it. So
Right on.
yeah, Tim, if you find some, grab some. I know some guys that fish for a living personally that are on Gary's staff and have got them, and they're smashing fish with them. So one of those things is different. It's not something they've seen. They can fish at places.
I like to modify my own soft plastics. Like I like to cut them in certain ways and like, I don't know, like just make them disperse water differently and like the fall rate's different. Like if I'm playing around with baits, like if I have 1,000 of Cincos or stick baits, which I do, I'll cut them up in like little different sections and stuff and play around with them. So
yeah, we're gonna go for about 5 more minutes and we're gonna be at that hour, everybody that's on. So if you have questions, comments, anything you want us to cover here, we don't mind going over if we're getting some interaction, but yeah, I need to get some sleep.
yeah.
I'm going to use tomorrow, I think, to do the maintenance on my boat that I've been putting on.
So
get my leash put on, and
yeah,
it's supposed to storm and be nasty here tomorrow, and then I'm probably going to get
the fish will be biting really well tomorrow. If you don't get struck by lightning, like go out. I usually love to go out when it's storming, when it's not super lightning, but like when it's storming, raining, warm rain, like that is when I love chucking a spinner bait up into the reeds or on laydowns and top water and stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. It really just depends on what's going on tomorrow.
Which one of you are the buzzbait guru? Probably.
I
me.
fish a buzzbait all the time.
Probably Trey and I. Ben, do you throw a buzzbait much? No, Ben doesn't really throw anything. If he does, he's had the same buzzbait tied on for 7 years.
No, I like using buzz toes.
Yeah,
he's a big pop bar guy though.
Mike, I throw,
which I'm not
quite a bit.
I don't throw pop bar.
Yeah, I don't throw it either.
That style.
I'd like to get better with it because it's a bait that catches. I mean, I know a lot of guys that catch.
What did I tell you?
Yeah.
We were out last fall. I was like, it was the KBD Splash. Well, it might have been the Rico. I was like, pick that up and throw it at that lily pad right there.
5.5 pounder later.
5 and 6 pounders are there all the time, and sure enough,
that's
there
right.
It was
On one lily pad. It's like the 5
literally,
pound.
There was like 4.
Yeah, it was like a little
4.
clump.
A little 4. And
I
have caught, and I have seen because Minkin, I saw him do it multiple times too. For whatever reason, there's always a big fish that's sitting
Just
right
one
there.
of those spots.
But then they killed the pads, and
I think if I
never
was
know.
going to choose, my favorite topwater bait that I have the most success on is a walking style bait.
Trey, I got something for you all to try out. All right, Mike. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, man.
Is it green and sticky, Mike? Because I'm not retired yet.
Gummies? No. Yeah, no, Mike, I know you're the top water guy, so I got to pick your brain about some stuff too.
And I like using the popper style. That Rico walks really well.
Yeah,
I bought some Ricos because that's what everybody was talking about. So I'm going to throw them some probably down the river because I know a bunch of people that do really well down there. So I can lose them too on the Cypress knees and stuff,
And I've got the little 1/4 ounce ones.
Okay.
So like I've got to use my light casting gear.
Yeah.
Because they don't fly very well.
you know what I'm going to throw this year? I got to throw the jitterbug. I said I was going to throw it. I got to start throwing the jitterbug.
I caught one a few years ago.
Oh, they'll eat it, man.
Oh yeah, they'll eat the jitterbug. Hands down.
That was the first top water bait I ever threw.
That's
My dad would tie it on a little spinning rod because you
Mine
just
too.
chucking wine.
that was caught on a jitterbug.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
I do.
chucking wine
I
at
do
that
have a
boy.
bass on the wall. You're
I
welcome.
don't think I can. I don't think I can pan over in that far. Let's try.
Dude.
Other way. Can we see it? Nope. Dang.
Not that bass.
You got the fake bass up there.
That's the fake bass. Yeah.
I haven't broke out top water yet. I
No
need to.
pompadour.
Pompadour.
I'll do that next week.
I don't know what that means.
Pompadour?
Yeah.
I think that's like the male dinosaur from Jurassic Park with the long horn, the pompadour. I'm pretty
make that up.
I'm not like the pompadour.
How in the heck did we get into talking about Jurassic Park and dinosaurs? Right now in the spring, I absolutely fell in love with a jerkbait. Yep.
Jerkbaits are awesome, man. Like it's one of those deals. Like, I mean, like I said, I flipped a jerkbait into a bed today and caught a fish with it.
Tim, I've got a bunch of big glides and big swimming baits, and pompadour's a top water bait. So now I got to Google
Send
that.
it, Mike. Send it.
Yeah, send it, Mike. I'll come see you at weigh-in tomorrow if it's not thunderstorming. But
what do you mean?
He's fishing that. I can't fish it because it was off limits, and I forgot.
Oh,
the Deep Creek tournament on Jordan. I always surprised the baits boys down south. Huge baits, huge glide baits. Yeah, man. So I got some up to 9 and 10 inch glides that I'll throw. It's a niche thing. You got to spend time throwing it. Figure out when they want it, where to throw it. You know, I really like. I got Ben through the mag draft for the first time this year, so like a 6-inch sloth bait. It's hard to beat that big bait, and you don't just catch giant fish. I mean, I've caught 3, 4, 5 pounders on big 9-inch baits. I'm on a small body of water in North Carolina. It's only 33 miles of shoreline. The pressure right here. It's that black thing. Yeah. So there's an old swim bait, multi-jointed. What's that? A 6-inch, 5-inch? Yeah, 6-inch. That's what she said. Anyway, John, you said I'm on a small body of water in South Carolina. It's only 33 miles of shoreline. The pressure of tournaments is every Thursday night, every Saturday, every Sunday. And finally finding something that they just an hour late is being a jerk. So, well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, you got to mess with different stuff, find what you can get them to eat. And they're definitely fun to catch when they're eating a jerk bait. So,
especially don't be afraid to fish around with a release fish or that.
Yeah. Fish the boat ramps. There ain't nothing wrong with catching them recycles.
That's right.
Oh, you can count again. All right.
But all right. Well, I appreciate everybody joining Fishing Friday. Make sure you go check out the OneCast on whatever podcast platform you listen to on YouTube. It's everywhere. So make sure you give that a listen, like, follow, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. If you do Apple, even if you don't listen to it on Apple, but you use something else and you have Apple, please go on there and leave us a review, even if it's one word. It really helps us to continue to grow. It helps us to keep bringing stuff, new content and things like that to all y'all. So appreciate everybody. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the next one.